EDFL Web TV. It is time for the wash-up, and we're going to go through all three divisions of EDFL football, and you'll see on your screen the results from the weekend and the ladders rolling through as we break down the games. So, Adam, let's go straight to Strathmore Community Bank Premier Division. Your winners at the weekend were Avondale Heights, Northern Saints, as we discussed off the top of the show, Greenvale, Strathmore, and also Keilor. What stood out to you, aside from the Northern Saints result, as the other biggest result of the weekend in Premier Division?
It was a really high-scoring weekend, Tayo, in all three divisions. I'm pretty sure most winners scored above 100 points, some really high-scoring games. Marby did push Keilor a lot in that game. Obviously, Keilor playing away against Russell Robertson, making his appearance for Maribyrnong Park last week. But 400 games for Ricky Marcy, a massive occasion for the club. I know, even though it was an away game, they really marked the occasion well. Really desperate to get a win for him, and they got the job done there. So a really good win by Keilor at Marby. Strathmore, very big winners, 23-11, 149, defeating Airport West, who only managed 12-14 on the day. A really big win for them as well.
Just on Airport West, they're now more than 50% out of fourth place. They've fallen below Greenvale on the ladder, and they've got the 2 wins as well, and the percentage gap almost makes it like a third win at the moment. Is their season off the rails now? I mean, it really seems as though that loss to Avondale Heights knocked the stuffing out of them. They were 6 goals up against the premiership favourites and a team that is still unbeaten in this division. And really, they've turned in a couple of really poor performances since. And I think Adem Contessa, as his injured players start to come back, must be frustrated that they're not performing at the moment. And you look at the best at the weekend, and it's some of their big names, some of their ex-AFL names that aren't in the best at the moment and don't seem to be able to get Airport West competitive with these other top 4 teams.
Yeah, they're a bit of a yo-yo at the moment, Airport West, and yeah, it's a bit of a strange one at the moment. I think they're 6th on the ladder at the moment, and right now I can't see them challenging too many teams above them on the ladder, and you should expect them to take care of their clubs below. So they're going to stay in that middle range for mine for the rest of the year. Airport West, really tough for them to get back into the finals.
Now, Adam, when the quarter-time score came through from Avondale Heights versus Duda Stars, I was worried for the Stars. It was 10 goals to 2, and then the Stars actually fought out the game quite well, kicking 15 goals to, 15 goals to 9 for the rest of the match. So even though Airport West always had them at a comfortable margin, it's probably a good sign again that the Stars are protecting that percentage, and if they can win games, starting with the Northern Saints game in round 9, but if they can pick up a couple of wins in the second half of the season, they must feel as though they've closed the gap now, and they're sort of back in that territory where a top team having an off day could now be knocked off by Duda Stars. And I tell you what, that's very different to after the Marby game, because we were highly critical of them in that performance. We went to Maribyrnong Park that day expecting Dudas to play like their lives depended on it, and we saw anything but. So it's nice to see that against some opposition that they weren't expected to beat, they are fighting out games now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure their first win won't be too far away for the Stars, especially now that the Northern Saints, their main challenger for that relegation battle, has got the first win on the board. Good kicking, though, probably did keep him in that game. Looking at the scoring shots, it was 34 scoring shots to only 22 in favour of Avondale Heights, so that's got to be said. But look, cracking a ton, really important for Essendon Duda Stars against the runaway premiership favourite at the moment in Avondale Heights at home. A really good performance for Marcus Barham and his boys.
Just want to say on Greenvale, Travis Jorgensen, welcome back to the league after another injury layoff and a slow start to the campaign, getting back on the track, but straight into the best. That's great, because he's one of the best players in the league of the last decade, Adam. And also, we need to talk about Pascoe Vale. Kind of under the radar a little bit at the moment. Greenvale running up a very big score on them, but Michael Sikora, the former VFL ruckman, has played at a few VFL clubs, I think most recently at Essendon VFL. 206 centimetres, Adam. There's only one other ruckman in the league who stands even close to that sort of stature, so it'll be very interesting to see that if he can actually take some control of the centre square and start to give Paco a bit more use of the ball. Their finals hopes, only 3 wins at the moment. You'd think they're just about dashed, but they can still be a banana skin for any team on any given day.
They certainly can, Tayo, but look, Greenvale, I really get the feeling they're starting to come good now. Some of those big key players, we know Curette probably not too far away now from coming back and joining Trav Jorgensen in that lineup, and when them two get going, their midfield can be very hard to stop. So I really do feel like Greenvale is coming now. A big win at Section Road. They haven't really defended Section Road all that well so far this year, so really good to get a win against a team who you're right, Tayo, they can be a headache or two for some of those top clubs in the Premier Division, and Yeah, Paco, look, probably disappointed in the end with the final score being as blown out as it was. But for mine, certainly Greenvale, they're really starting to come good now, and they're really going to start playing some better footy over coming months.
And well done to Greenvale Junior coming through the ranks. Lawrence King, 4 goals at the weekend and 6 in his first 2 senior games of the year. So Adam McPhee's given kids a lot of games so far this season, and it's nice to see some of that faith being repaid on the scoreboard. Let's move on to Essendon Forward Division 1. Adam, the closest division in suburban footy, we reckon, and perhaps the most entertaining and surprising as well. Premier may have grabbed the headlines this week, but Division 1 just continues to deliver on a weekly basis. And we start with Oak Park beating Hillside. What we'll do is hear from the coach, Ben Chapman, and his thoughts on finally breaking through for that first win, Oak Park's first win since 2012.
When the game got tight in the last quarter, I think hopefully the guys have learnt from the close games we've had over the last 3 weeks prior to that. And we're able to stand up and withstand the challenge and hold on. As far as the feeling goes, really good to be on the positive side of the ledger when the siren went. So, good feeling around the place at the moment. You know, we knew that we were around the mark. We always were. We still didn't play our best footy, and there's still areas of our game that we definitely need to work on. But, we're under no illusion. We don't take anybody for granted. We know that we need to improve again this week and continue to improve if we want to win games. And hopefully we can do that over the next couple of weeks and then going forward.
Ben Chapman there. Adam, you can hear the relief in his voice. We spoke to him after the defeat to Glenroy. He felt like a win wasn't too far away. And to get one against Hillside, very handy given that they now have Craigieburn and then also Hadfield back-to-back. So they want to go on a run now, Oak Park, and move out of that relegation zone, because after being the last team to get off the mark, they would have felt like the odd one out, but at least now they've broken through and they've done it against a good opposition in Hillside.
Firstly, congratulations to Oak Park. It's been a very long wait to be able to sing the song. I hope the boys remembered it on Saturday evening. And congratulations, a really massive result, and good to see Oak Park get 4 points. Secondly, Taya, I really liked them against Glenroy. They pushed them for a lot of that game. We saw the signs that a win wasn't that far away. Ben Chapman, very gracious in defeat, speaking to us after the game, and really got the sense that something was coming for Oak Park, and a really big win against Hillside.
Now, if you went to a Division 1 match at the weekend, you were entertained. Tullamarine came from 29 points down at halftime to beat Taylors Lakes, and the Kent Mangan double, the 2 ex-Premier guys delivering once again. They're now both in the top 4 of the goal kicking table in Division 1. So Ash Manning's 2-pronged attack getting his team over the line, and Taylors Lakes, second week in a row, they've taken it to a contender, they've built a lead, and they've been overrun. So Adam, they're mid-table right now, Taylors Lakes, but they must be rueing the fact that they were in winning positions against both West Coburg and Tullamarine and weren't able to seal the deal. And by the way, shout out to Ash Manning. Of course, Adam, we were speculating as to which game he went to the previous weekend when Tullamarine had the bye. We saw him at Glenroy versus Oak Park, but he was earlier in the day checking out Taylors Lakes. So does do a lot of homework, does the Tullamarine coach Ash Manning.
Got a feeling as well he might be loving the fact, Ash Manning, that Tulla perhaps is flying under the radar a little bit at the moment. Not too much, Taya, just a little bit, just because of how many talking points come out of Division 1 week in, week out with some of those results there. Look, Taylors Lakes were good against Tullamarine. Perhaps a step behind them, though, at the moment. They need to start winning because they really deserve to be in finals, and no club in Division 1 wants to face Taylors Lakes in finals. That much I do know, but they've got to get there first, Taylors Lakes. They need to get some wins. They will against some of the lower clubs in the division, but they did push Tullamarine. They'll be hoping to improve a little bit on that come season's end.
And Adam, that comeback wasn't even the biggest of the weekend. In fact, not even close in Division 1, because Glenroy were 48 points down at quarter time, still 47 points down to Hadfield at halftime, and then stormed over the top, outscoring the Hawks by 10 goals in the second half to get a big win. A game with plenty of fire and spice in it, Adam. And the Roys continuing their winning streak. The Hawks still waiting for that second win of the season. When the scores came through at quarter time, with all due respect to EDFL Life member David McWilliam, the great man who gets us the around the ground scores on the matchday broadcast every week, I thought he had him back to front. I couldn't understand. Hadfield 48-0 at quarter time. Are you kidding me? But sure enough, that was the case. And Glenroy, after getting themselves into a big hole, managed to come back and fight their way out of it.
They did it again, Glenroy, because they had to mount a bit of a comeback against Oak Park as well. Look, two two local rivals, Glenroy and Hadfield, of course, so always a story to come out of that, but a really good win for Glenroy. They're starting to get on a roll now. They've won 3 in a row, Teo. And look, Hadfield, they showed some signs, but Glenroy just a bit too much class, I'd say.
And West Coburg still unbeaten at the top of the division, getting the job done. Abdi Fidax, he was runner-up in the Hutchison Medal in 2012, and then a very unfortunate grand final for him, getting suspended and rubbed out for the first half of 2013. And everyone who was there that day knows that it wasn't a glorious end to the season, but he's a quality footballer, 5 goals, playing out of the midfield. He's unstoppable on his day, Adam. Almost won the league medal a couple of years ago, and it's nice to know that after a 2013 that perhaps he wanted to put behind him, he's finding his best form again in the division, because he is absolute class when he's on song.
Yeah, look, West Coburg, they've got some firepower up forward, Tail. We saw it when they played Tullamarine a couple of weeks ago in the Match of the Day broadcast. West Meadows, they started the season pretty well, but for how much longer can they keep their form going? We're not entirely sure. It's the kind of result you probably expected. West Coburg will get the win, perhaps by not such a big margin. It was quite a significant win in the end.
We move on to Division 2 now, and don't forget match breakdown this week. Roxburgh Park versus East Keilor. It's on its own YouTube video, so make sure you click the links through and you can watch the full match breakdown with the highlights and our voiceover of that. So let's talk about the other 3 games in the division. Adam, there was another big result. Jacana, big lead early. Moonee Valley came back to hit the front by 3/4 time, and then Jacana held on in the last to get over the line and prize the door to the top 4 back open. Keilor Park will be grateful for that big favour, but they had a bit of a scratchy day in the twilight game out at Burnside Heights. Burnside actually broke even with them in the 3rd quarter. 3 goals 1 to 2 goals 7, so that's great signs for the Bears. And in the other match, Coburg District's too strong for East Sunbury. And as we speculated, Adam, with the East Sunbury versus Burnside Heights match coming this weekend, we thought that the margins for East Sunbury and Burnside might be a little bit bigger. They might have just put a little bit in cotton wool up the sleeve to prepare for a great chance to win this coming weekend. And I think that maybe was reflected with East Sunbury losing by their biggest margin of the season so far. What do you make of the other 3 games there and some of those results in Division 2?
Well, firstly, Taya, 12 months ago, nobody would have seen Jacana going to Moonee Valley and beating them, but perhaps coming into this weekend, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. I mean, Moonee Valley have faltered a little bit so far this year. Perhaps a victim, a bit like Keilor Park, of the rate of improvement not being as sharp as some of those other clubs, which has been the big talking point in Division 2 so far.
They were also without their best player and the man who I've been tipping for the league medal up until this point, Musti Hamoud. So Moonee Valley, they lost a number of quality players in the off-season, and then as soon as some of their other current good players drop out of the team, it does bring them back to the pack and within range and perhaps within reach of Jacana and Keilor Park.
Yeah, they certainly are at the moment, Moonee Valley. But yeah, Keilor Park is an interesting one as well at the moment. They ended up winning by 99 points, but you're right, Taylor, they'll push for a half of football. I know they're still very confident down there. They can still sneak into the finals. They need to start producing some consistent footy. That is their problem at the moment, just playing in patches. I know, though, they can get that going in the second half of the year. They can string some wins together. They're still confident they can do some damage in September. Coburg Districts, look... really important to get percentage in this division, we know that, so they really took East Sunbury to task with that big game coming up. And the broadcast game that we saw, Teo, Roxburgh Park and East Keilor, really impressive win by Roxy that we'll get stuck into in that match breakdown.
You sure can. Click the links appearing on your screen right now. If you want to jump back to the first segment where we talk about the Northern Saints, you can do that. Also go forward to Rapid Fire where we look ahead to round 8. But up next on EDFL Web TV, it's match breakdown from Roxburgh Park in Division 2. You're watching EDFL Web TV from the Sporting Globe, 690 Mount Alexander Road in Moonee Ponds.